Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Ramon?
I'm good. Thank you, Taylor. How are you?
Doing well. It's been a very exciting week. We
Oh,
had two new admins join us, Zanny and Gabriella. I think Zanny's from the UK and Gabriella's from Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. And they're both here in Belgrade now. So very excited. They're on our administrative team and really glad to have some more help on that side of things.
excellent. That's wonderful news. Yeah, I'm always eager to see when so many like interested folks are joining Distribute Aid and like hoping to contribute. I'm gonna take that very cheesy opportunity, if I may, folks, to encourage you if you're interested in contributing to Distribute Aid. I'm gonna link shortly to their open collective where you can find their GitHub projects and join in. If you wanna, by the way, if you ever want to hop on this stream with us and do some like collective, I'm kind of springing this on Taylor now. If you ever want to hop on and just like work with us, like we can totally have you here join the stream. If you're on the chat now and if you ever want to like chat along, please, super encouraged. Um, yeah, here's their open collective. I'm just gonna post this now. That is not
Ooh.
collective
And
link.
that's the funding, like that sort of contribution to DA definitely goes to help support our full-time volunteer team and cover costs for like our servers and things like that. So really
Yeah,
appreciate it. That's the like smaller amount of funding we have. All of our shipping and everything is sustainably funded through the groups that are also collecting the aid. So very much appreciate any contributions, whether that's code, joining us on the stream, or from a funding perspective.
yeah, totally. And through there, you also found exactly. You can if you can contribute code, you'll also find through code or non-code contributions, which is a big topic for me. You'll also find their GitHub links there. And if you can't,
Mhm.
of course, as Taylor said, any financial contribution is super highly appreciated. Um, yeah, so let's dive right in because we've got a lot to cover today. Taylor, I'm not sure how you best want to go over this. We showed off Code C Maps last week and sort of took
Mhm.
a first step into checking that out. And you were telling me pre-stream that you'd actually made quite some progress on that.
Oh, I'm doing something super cool with it. So maybe we can share my screen here and I can
Sounds
show folks
good.
how I'm using the CodeC Maps to plan a new project we're working on. And then we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming, take a look at some of the Figma designs and work on some OSS.
Literally regularly scheduled programming. I love it. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
please do feel free to share your screen.
Totally right. So I can share my own screen. Amazing.
Exactly.
Um, okay.
Oh, hey, V
So
prevails. Nice to see
can
you.
everyone see the map?
Just 1 second. Here we go.
Awesome. And so what this is, it's a map of our landing site repository, which is the one that Ramon and I have been working on these streams. And what I'm trying to do with CodeC Maps is plan a new project using the same tech stack for our needs assessments. So since the start of this year, Distribute Aid has been conducting regional needs assessments where we send out surveys to our partners across Europe and in Lebanon now in order to understand their projected needs for the next 3 months. So we know what sort of aid to go try to encourage groups to collect or to talk to in-kind donors about. And then we can see the impacts that we've created based on the needs that we've filled compared to these needs assessments. So they've created a lot of great data, and we've gone through the format a couple of times to work on how to best phrase the questions to get good responses while
Hmm.
making it easy and not adding to the administrative burden of frontline groups. We're at a point now that the questions and the format is pretty locked in, but the problem is survey software is either like fairly simple or fairly expensive. You have your Google Forms or Typeforms, and then you have your Qualtrics, which I can't afford a $1,000 software package. So that's fine. We do open source. So we said, why don't we make an open source, project and code up our forms in that in order to create a, tailored experience for the aid groups that we work with. The first phase is using the same stack that we're using for the landing site. So the questions will be entered in on Contentful. That will get pulled down using Gatsby and exposed through a GraphQL API, and then rendered using React and Tailwind. And I think we're just going to submit the forms directly to Netlify. They have a $9 a month form package. It just kind of parses your HTML and looks at the form fields and then handles everything on the back end. So we can get the data up and stored really easily. And once all the surveys are back, we can download that and analyze it using a variety of different tools. That's phase one, just to get it up and running quickly. Phase two, we'll actually bake that into our shipping platform so we can track data along with each aid group's account and assess how their needs change over time and compare that to, say, the aid that we're shipping to them to see how we fulfill their needs. So because the phase one is the same stack and we have this great CodeC map tool, I was working with our product manager for this project, Aisha, and I wanted to talk her through kind of the technical architecture and look at what sort of pages or components, different things that we would need. But she's a product manager. She's not a coder, so I think diving into the files and folders, that wouldn't be a conversation that would be like easy for her to navigate, just because it's not kind of at that conceptual level. She's focused on the results, right? Not how to kind of get those from coding. I'm focused on how does the coding work? How do I set this project up so that our volunteer developers can easily participate in it? And that's where CodeC Maps came in. So what I have here is actually a copy of our landing site map of that code base. But since it's the same stack, it's very relevant. And I was able to go through and use the CodeC Maps to plan out what this new project should look like and what are the important bits and what maybe is not so relevant.
This is really exciting to hear, Taylor. And I love that you were able to use this with Aisha, who, as a project manager can get like this bird's eye view, this general like focus on the structure here. Just for our viewers, would you mind just making it just a touch, like zoom in and just a touch, like not with your, oh, that works, nice. Question from V Prevails, is this a tool within CodeC? Yes. Thank you for asking. This is our newest tool, Maps, which we premiered last week. I can't believe we had the honor of doing that, by the way. That was so cool. And so if you want to try it out, I'm gonna toss a link into the chat here from CodeC. We've got a free beta. If you're interested in if you're especially interested in doing like open source stuff like I'm doing here with Taylor, like reach out, please. Like super keen to have you and help provide a tool that will hopefully that where our aim is to, as Taylor was saying, like get everybody involved on understanding a code base.
Totally. So, and if you want to just play around with it, get your CodeC account set up. But because all of our maps and everything we do is open source, the maps are open to the public. So you can go to the link on our landing site repo and just make a duplicate and then play around with the maps tool for our code base to get a sense of how it works.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. So just to highlight a few of the features I used here. So the legends. What's up?
Sorry, somebody in the chat wrote that we've got an echo. Don't know what's causing that, if I'm honest, but I'll try and.
Am I speaking too loudly? It might be the room.
No, if I'm just gonna keep going, Taylor. I'm just gonna check out the stream and see how that looks.
Okay, sure thing. So we're able to assign colors here on the map legend and labels. So I was able to highlight different key architecture pieces, like you see the Tailwind config file, some of the Gatsby files, and then for the source code on the site here. So that just provided a high level, do we need this or do we not? For example, for this site, we'll just have 3 pages. We don't really need templates because we're not generating the pages. We might generate components within a page, but the pages themselves will be more static. I was also able to use the commenting feature to provide some instructions, and document the conversation I was having with Aisha. So for example, on the data here, we're not going to be storing data directly in the project. That should be coming from Contentful. It's just kind of a breadcrumb. Oh, okay. So if I'm doing looking for certain data, I should go look for that in Contentful. Same thing, like what are the 3 pages that we need here, in order to get this project up and running. We can go ahead and just start off with those right away when someone sets up the project. So it was really helpful to document everything as we were having the conversation and making decisions, and then doing so in a way that highlights different parts, like this is needed, this is not, why is it needed or not needed, and doing so in a visual way where you can see how things relate together.
That's awesome, and I love the way, like, thank you so much for documenting this so extensively, because I feel like this helps me get like an immediate idea of what's going on where, even though I haven't seen this code base yet. So that's super handy.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to help out with this exciting new project, help collect tons of really valuable data from frontline aid groups, y'all just hit us up on Twitter or check out the repo once it's up and running, and feel free to contribute.
Totally, thank you. I've just put a lovely link there to our to the Open Collective for Distribute Aid, where you'll also find all the ways you can contribute. So thank you. Thank you so much. V Prevails writes here, I can imagine this would also work really nicely for those who do content modeling with headless CMS. Mm-hmm. Which, correct me if I'm mistaken, that's what we're doing with Contentful. Is that right?
Exactly what we're doing with Contentful. Yeah. So I think that this is really interesting. As we get this project set up under the components here, we'll need different components based on the different like content entities that we set up for each question, right? So we're putting all the questions in Contentful, but they're different types of questions. There could be an email field, there could be a how many t-shirts or sleeping bags do you need field, right? And so each one of those will be a different content model, and that should be mapped to a component in order to render that form, like specific type of form field. So as this project gets fleshed out, V Prevails is exactly right. We'll be able to visually see that mapping here in the list of components if you expand it, right? This is for the current landing site, but you should see, here's the number of items, question, kind of model entity to generate those questions. Here's the about your group or your email question, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see that you're getting some great use out of this, and actually, it's also really heartwarming to see that it's really cool to see a map that I haven't generated yet. So this is like super super exciting, because last week what we did is we also touched upon because since these are generated dynamically, like we were able to also see a pull request map, and it's Liz. Hey Liz, good morning. Yay maps. Yeah. We're super excited to be able to use these, and if it's fine, like we could totally check out the pull request that we got on the landing page earlier this week.
No, I think that's great, because we're looking at styles, and so our volunteer Matthew has been working really hard on the actual kind of front page. So this is the PR here. Matthew has done a great job with commits and the file changes. I think the first thing that I want to do is get this code checked out and make a code C, because I haven't seen this before. Let's dive in. We can look at the changes here, but also I want to see how his code is running with the data that's available for the landing site, right?
This is so cool. We're going to be using both the tools today, like in combination. So that's super exciting. Oh, yeah. I hope that's working.
Should be. It might have just, oh, there we go.
Ah, there we go. Whew.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Yes, you can delete my gibberish there. That's my let's keep this Git pod alive gibberish.
Right. Okay, and here's the link. Should I post this to the chat when the browser gets up and running so that everyone?
It's already up and running.
Awesome, great.
Here, I'll post that in the chat so that folks can join in and have a look at our website as we develop it.
Cool. So I just want to take a look at what branch this is. Landing page sections skeleton. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out, and maybe I'll stop the server for a second and then restart it.
Good call. Do you mind hiding that notice that it says StreamYard.com is sharing your screen?
Yeah, and let me know if I need to make anything bigger on this page. Just give me a heads up, and I can do that.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, same. Like this applies for you, Chad. Like if you feel like the size is too small, please do feel free to give us a shout.
Okay. Landing page.
Section skeleton. Yeah.
Sweet. And I think.
Hey, Max. Hey, Maxime.
What up? So I just want to make sure. I'm not sure when Matthew started this branch. It would be cool if we could see if we need to rebase or merge a Saga into it.
Yeah. How could we
do that? I think if I go to code and then branches here on GitHub.
Oh.
And then it'll show, so it's 11 commits behind and 4 commits ahead. And that's why the first thing I looked for in the PR was the code C map showing me the diff, but that got added one of those 11. Should we merge Saga in? Or you were talking about a rebase, Ramon. I am not a Git wizard, so we can try a rebase, but you're going to have to navigate.
Oh my God, yes. Let's collaboratively do a rebase. So I know rebases sound scary, folks. I do them all the time. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna pull through. So let's do a Git rebase. Oh, you're currently on the correct branch, right?
I'm on the Matthews branch, and let's just double check
Git
that.
Status. I am 100% with you. V prevails. Rebase, like it's all down to preference. I love me a good rebase.
I think I like the concept of it, but I maybe just don't have enough experience. So this would be a great way of guiding me through, and I can be more confident next time around.
Totally. So, great. We are currently on. So we had to do. Let's do a Git Rebase Saga.
Okay.
And we've got conflicts. Oh dear. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's do a Git status.
Okay. So this is the yarn lock file. So that's
correct.
The auto-generated one when you do like a yarn install or yarn add, right?
Yes. This is the one file that I was hoping wouldn't be.
I'm tempted to just say we can do a fresh yarn install after everything. Can we just ignore it for now? But maybe we should go through and take a look.
I love V Prevails' approach. I always then just run yarn again.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair way of doing it. So if we just run yarn, it should clean it up for us and we can add it and continue.
I hope so. I think it's worth a try. The great thing is we're working locally on our machine. So we're not messing anything up. Everything is still working.
Okay. So at this point, the yarn lock file, just want to make sure there's none of those. You can search for like a whole bunch of equal signs or less than signs to see if there are any notices by Git of, merge conflicts. And since there are none, I'm confident that yarn overrode that file and we can add it and continue.
Beeperfills also recommends yarn force for, I guess we don't need it this time, but it's good to have. Thank you.
Definitely. Okay. So what's next? Do we continue this at some point, or is it rebased and we just have to commit?
So now we'll commit. Oh, wait, did it just, Oh, yeah. So now we save and close this file.
Okay.
And I hope this will work.
I'm
What we're
looking
doing
for
here
all
is
the
renaming
right
the what we're doing here is renaming our commit, just in case. So now we've done that one stage of the rebase. So now we'll do a type in Git Rebase and a flag with 2 dashes. We'll do continue.
Okay, so that was the first commit we had to kind of, and what's going on when we do this, right? We have Saga is ahead, but Matthew's Ranch for the landing page is also ahead. So we're like taking the commits from Saga and sticking them back before Matthew's changes on his branch, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I am giddy about the fact, and we're done.
There. Oh, that was super easy.
Not too bad, huh? I
Not
have
too
to
bad.
admit, I love me a good rebase, as I've said a few times. The question now in V Prevails, I might need your help here, because what I usually do now we need to push our changes up again.
Right,
V Prevails.
because
They're way too excited that they know this stuff. Absolutely, like you rule. So now the question of pushing comes up.
since
And
we do like a git push force, or do we
I would
make
do a
new
git
branch?
push. Yeah, we have two options. We can either force push, which would be if this were my project that I were working on by myself, I would say force with lease. I don't know about this. V Prevails. Please do tell. What's this about? Force with lease. I'm gonna look that up. Force with lease. Force overwrites a remote branch. Force with lease is a safer option that will not overwrite any work on the remote branch if more commits were added to the remote branch by any other team member. It ensures that you do not overwrite someone else's work by force pushing.
Okay, so if you don't have all of their commits and you're behind locally and you try to force push, it'll say nah. But in this case, because we're caught up, we
Yeah.
have all of Matthew's work, then we can force push, and we just maybe have to give him a heads up when he pulls this down. He might want to do a force pull or something so that he has our work as well.
Mm-hmm. So I think with force with lease, what we're going to do is force push, but we won't lose his work.
Right. It'll just double check us in case our local copy is out of sync.
We will overwrite, but without him losing his work. And I do think
Mhm.
you'll need origin and the name of the branch, which
Right.
is landing page section skeleton.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Nice. Okay.
Looks like no one got hurt.
Not yet, anyways.
So if we give this a refresh. So
Okay. Oh, here we go. Something's happening.
So we're doing our checks, and since we've rebased, we should also get a diff, a PR map now, which I'm pretty excited about.
Totally. And while we're waiting on GitHub, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to do a yarn install to make sure that everything from both Matthew's branch and the updates on Saga are downloaded, and then get the server running so we can
Awesome.
run a code see.
Oh yeah, good call. I'm so excited.
Oh, here we go.
Well,
So,
I'll be.
Yep. This is a great starting point for us to see where to investigate, right? Based on Matthew's work. Now we haven't even had to look at the files change. You know, there's 9 file changes, and that's helpful to get the line by line. But just to start off on where are we going to be focusing on, it looks like He's changed the main page template and the shipment page template. He's added a folder in the components, a carousel folder. And so he has an image carousel and then the actual carousel image together, right? And then he's added a section component. No, he's changed the section component. So he's changed how sections work. And he's added a socials container with a social icon container in there as well. So there's also updates to package.json and yarn lock, which are important to check, but I like how the map puts those at the bottom. This is the main changes that we're going to be focusing on. It looks like 3 changes and 3 additional files.
Correct. If you scroll down, you can actually see the legend there.
Oh, there we go. Added, removed, edited, and the dependencies as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet. So that gives us, yeah, as you said, that bird's eye view of what changed.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can try it out, I suppose.
Totally. So this is up and running now. And we have the main page here. And then he was also working on the shipments page here, which looks very familiar to what we would expect. I'm just wondering though, so the shipments page has these dependencies here. So I'm wondering where we should be seeing these, or if he's only gotten the kind of the components there, we should still be able to see those components if we run a code C, right, Ramon?
Correct.
Even if it's not showing anything right now visually, we should see that the code is called and everything's linking together. He might be kind of setting up the components and linking them together before he's focusing on the content, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let's give it a run. We'll just do a simple refresh and looking at the shipments page. And pop-ups.
Oh, don't see them here yet. I think on the screenshot. Ah.
Oh, there we go. It might just be a Chrome setting for me. And I need to, all right, let me try this again, folks. And let me actually allow pop-ups, not from that one, from this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'll start the code C again, give it a refresh, and stop it.
Right. So now we're uploading everything.
There we go. Maybe.
Huh.
Huh.
Oh, there we go. Now it's loading.
Oh, okay. I'm just being impatient.
Cool.
So what do we have here? Looking at the shipment page Matthew has been working on, he's loading a couple of components. Mm-hmm. So it's a simple layout, this table header component, and the shipments page component. And then the shipments page runs through a whole bunch of table, renders a whole bunch of table components, and that's it. So what I'm not seeing here is the changes, right? I'm not seeing the image carousel or the image. Now that might be fine. If there's no images that it's pulling from, then it might not actually render those components at all, and CodeC wouldn't pick up on that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So should we take a look at his changes and at the code to figure out why this shipments page is not using these new components?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe let's start with the code, and then we can look at the diff there to help
Sounds
guide
good.
us.
So the source templates. Oh no, it's pages. Shipments.
Let me just double check. Actually, was it shipments? Oh, shipment page, like an individual one. Not
Oh, good call.
There we
Also, we
go.
can click on an individual one.
Right. So let me take a look. Which one would have maybe one of our water shipments? Okay. There we go. That's the difference. It's not the shipments page.
Nice.
Yep. So that's okay. Those
Looks
S's
good.
make all the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And we do see what we would expect, the image carousel and the, oh, it works really well too. Nice.
I'm curious. We could totally link to this from the region pages too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if this works for shipments here, maybe on the region pages, we can get all of the images for the shipments to that region, build a little
Yeah.
timeline or something.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And what are these photos coming from, by the way, out of curiosity?
I think that these might be default images that he's pulled
Mm-hmm.
in. These are definitely not contentful images, but that would be a really cool thing next time. With Gabriella and Zanny's help, we can get some shipment photos uploaded and maybe show that off as showing the actual photos we have from our shipments next time.
Sweet.
Cool.
Shall we do a code see for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
There we go.
There's our carousel.
Now it's loading everything and then renders the shipment page template with the simple layout with the image carousel. So let's see how, like, what is calling that shipment carousel here? We have the simple layout. And then at the end, okay, so he's just loading the image carousel. That's kind of a standalone component. But I really like this actually because it lets us make sure that these are hooked up correctly. And then the next step, we can pass data into the image carousel from the shipment page, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
that makes loads of sense.
Cool. And then in the image carousel itself, it's getting some static parameters. So we have some settings here like breakpoints and how many items are shown at a time. It looks like there should be about 3 in focus with one on either side, kind of half and half for those ones to navigate. And we have these placeholder carousel objects. So this is the data here. Okay, and it looks like he's just using some random images from this photo gallery website or something.
And I see they're using Tailwind classes there too. If you look at class name in the inspector.
That's cool. So he's applying the class name as data, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Reacty.
Down here with the settings on the carousel, and we should pass in the what's this called? Carousel items here. And then we pass that in, okay, as the content here. So that's interesting. So it'll take its like child components and process them into the carousel images, and then these are the attributes on that. So it looks like we're passing JavaScript objects as a child of the carousel, instead of what I would expect, which would be maybe like the carousel images or something. You see what I'm talking about, Ramon?
Yeah. And I see here the items.
Yeah, that's a cool way to use React as well. I guess that's a bit more, I would normally just have this be a self-closing thing and then pass that in as an attribute. But this is truly the content, right? And so by passing it in as the kind of child component and then just processing it there within, it makes it a bit more clear what's going on.
Yeah, excellent.
Cool. It looks like there's some additional classes as well. I see this looks like custom classes. Yeah. So this is not Tailwind. This is for probably the carousel library that he's using.
Right.
Cool.
This gives us, I thank you for taking us through this, because I think this gives us a good idea of what things were implemented and why in this pull request.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and save this, right? And this is for PR number 28. So I'll just this one. Too many code C tabs open. So, and I'm going to go ahead and make it public. Copy that over. Then I'll just go ahead and edit the top level comment here. I like doing this to kind of show the state or show quick links to different things. And then we can have conversations in the comments using GitHub's review functionality.
Perfect. I love that this turned into a code review session.
Yep. How do you spell carousel?
With a U after the O. There you go.
Sweet. I can just put there.
Perfect.
Awesome. Cool. That way, Matthew can see what we're seeing and we can reference it, of course.
Nice.
And then I think the other bit that was really exciting and relevant to our kind of focus on Tailwind and design is what's happening with the main page here, right? So what is using this main page template? And then there's the section. It looks like the social icon container has been added, but nothing's referencing that yet. So we shouldn't expect that.
Oh, good point.
Right.
Good call.
Yeah. So we should probably take a look at that code, but we can't do a code C data flow to access it or see it on the screen. So components. Okay, cool. So it looks like he's created different types of sections that, in this case, this hooks up to our contentful kind of entity model types. So you could have a stack of content, or you could have other types of sections, like if you wanted a mission banner or a header carousel or different things like that. So he's stubbing, that's what he's doing right here. So he's just made a change to stub out what should be available in code, and then can work on filling these out and like creating the components for them one by one. And that's also why we didn't see too many changes to the main landing page, if you remember. It was more setting up the structure of the site. than actually
Right.
styling this.
So
maybe we
so
could, go for
sorry.
it.
I was just going to say, like, the changes are not as immediately visible because it was more of a, because these changes are more sort of in the background. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, he's he's setting up the code base to create this content,
Yeah.
but it's not linked into the section right now. So I think the
Yeah.
idea, we're looking at the carousel. If we wanted to set up a
Mm,
header carousel, that would probably call the carousel image component that we just looked at. But this would also need to be set up in Contentful as like a type of thing that we could add to the homepage, for example.
that's interesting. I feel like this sort of like helps. I haven't seen it done this way. Like, to be honest with you, this is interesting because that way we have like a definite. Um, I think it's like a definite. Um, it clarifies and lets us reuse these section components, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it really lets the content creators, our operations and administrative team, choose what they want to see on the homepage, right? So they could potentially reorder different sections or choose what type of section it should be, and kind of empowers them to not just put the images in the image carousel, but decide where on the page, at least for certain pages like the homepage, that image carousel should be, which is awesome because then if we need to highlight a fundraising campaign, or if we want to maybe show upcoming shipments that we want people to support with aid donations, things like that, they can just make a section for that. And 2 weeks later, when the shipment's off, they can change it up and highlight a different project or something.
Love it. Yeah. Cool. So would you say then that where we have this pull request at the moment, given this setup, is this, would we need to uh add some feedback?
Yeah, I think that's always a good thing to do.
Cool.
Maybe let's take a look at the diff on GitHub right now, and let's both contribute to this. And audience, feel free to
Please.
throw it in there. We're all working
Ooh,
together to
love
make the
it.
code base as good as possible and to learn about best practices and things. So this is very much a collaborative and friendly review experience. Um,
Please.
so, okay, so we're doing a review. This is the package JSON. It looks like he added a React
Mm-hmm.
multi-carousel and React social icons as
Seems
packages.
fair.
Seems good. I'm going to mark that as viewed.
Oh, I never used that viewed checkbox before. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, all good. I think Maxime showed it to me for the first time. So here we have
That's
this
right.
empty file, components carousel, card carousel. So I want to just
Hmm.
take a look at that. And is that something maybe we should be expecting more from in like a future update? Or should we maybe take it out now and create like an issue or something to add that in later, but not leave the empty file around? I'm not sure what he's thinking there. So it looks like another type of carousel compared to, say, the image carousel, right? Um,
How do you feel about check out of curiosity, and folks in the chat do feel free to weigh in as well. How do you feel about committing in an empty file? Like, the reason I ask is because maybe it's just a tiny bit of me is saying like is wondering why we do that, why we would have this, and I guess the purpose is to establish a structure. Is that right?
mhm. Yeah, I think that might be part of it. But then I would at least expect to see some documentation or something around like what's next with it, because I feel like it's
Hmm.
really easy in code bases including on Code Maps, for example, if this comes up, but it's not really doing anything, but then other devs are afraid to like mess with it, but they can see it's not really doing anything, but they're not sure why it's there. So without some documentation around stubbing things out in this case and what the plan is with them, it's very hard. It's not as visible to other people what's going on, right? So,
How about we suggest, if I may,
yep.
V Prevails also writes here, yeah, it does make one wonder what's up. I was wondering, maybe we could request maybe just leaving a comment in the file saying something like, this is, I don't know, here we'll go what this card carousel does, or have a brief description of the purpose of this file.
Like, just ask Matthew what he's thinking for it. Or...
Yeah, to leave something in there, like a to-do, implement and sort of go into a bit of a description of what this card carousel will do. My opinion, like,
yeah,
feel free to...
Super valid. So should we call it like a suggestion? So it's not really a request changes, but just something, this would be nice to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Nice to have.
Cool. So I've tagged it with a suggestion. I think because there's not a line number, so I can't tag like something directly to it. So I'm just leaving the specific file path to it and what it's supposed to do, where do you see using it. Sounds great. So, this is interesting. Okay. How do I submit this as a comment? I'm struggling with the GitHub UI a little bit here because it says finish your review, but I don't want to finish the review. I just want to.
Yeah, you can do this. You can do this as a single review and add more reviews as we go.
Okay. Cool. So that's there now.
Perfect.
And then we can go back to the files chains.
Exactly.
Nice. Okay. So we have viewed that one. What do you think about this carousel image, Ramon?
Interface props. Function component props. Props.alt, props.class name, props.src. This looks... Okay. I don't know if this is... I don't know. I don't know if the semantic HTML person in me is saying, do we need a div here or a fragment? Is it called a fragment? A React fragment? Where you just have the tags. What's the purpose of this div? Or are we adding too much to the
image itself? Yeah.
Have you ever done a suggestion?
No. How do I do that?
Let me show you. Oh.
Okay.
vPrevels actually says you don't even need a fragment and thing, and you're absolutely right. We can just delete the again, comes down to preference, but if we don't need that div, then why use it?
Yeah. Or maybe it turns out it's needed for the React carousel component because it needs something to wrap the image to apply styles or something, but then it would be good to have a comment indicating why it's there.
Exactly. So here's what you do. Drag from like where on the thing on the gutter. Yeah. Lines 11 to 13.
Nice.
Now add the click on the plus. I think I did that wrong. Wait, sorry.
Can you do that drag 11 again? To 13.
Yeah. And then you should get a pop-up, but I wonder if you just click on the plus again.
It looks like it's moving it for different lines.
And maybe click on that. Oh, that does it. Okay, now click on that. Click on that. Sorry, I know I'm pointing at it uselessly. On under the right tab, there's an icon with a plus and minus document. In that suggestion, if you go all the way to the left of this toolbar, there's a plus minus document icon. So if you go to the right, where it's that tab that says right, and now move your mouse slightly down
right
and
there.
to the right. Yeah, this one exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
But unfortunately, this doesn't really work because we can't get all 3 lines in there. So maybe it makes more sense to just add a comment and say, like, do we need this div and why? And oh,
yeah, I wonder why that's not letting us.
So as B Prevail says, like, unless, as you said, Taylor, unless the div is there for style purposes, but then maybe add a class name or an ID or something to make that clear. Oh, I like that. Thank you.
So is this div necessary? It would be better to return the tag directly as a React fragment.
I don't think we'll need the fragment itself.
Okay, directly.
Because it's, yeah.
If the div is just a wrapper. However, if the div is needed for the carousel library to work, that's great. A comment indicating this would be helpful.
Or a class or something.
A comment or class.
Love it.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, you can add a single. Oh yeah, however you prefer.
This is what I was trying to do earlier, and just get them all into the same.
Yeah.
Same bit. Yeah. It's like the more dev tools can do, that's awesome, but then it also becomes harder to use them, right? There's more things to click, or
yeah. I oftentimes get lost in things to click, as you very rightly said.
Now this is interesting with the image. I know we run into this before, Ramon. If should we be using like a Gatsby image here, right? Kind of depends on where the data is coming from. But that seems, if it's coming from Contentful, this might be something to work on in the future. So
good point.
Cool. So I'm just saying this is kind of a future thing, because this actually seems fine for now for me. But once we start pulling stuff from Contentful, I know that Gatsby image, hooked up to Contentful allows us to resize and do lots of cool stuff at the image level, which might cut down on the amount of complexity or optimize the experience with, say, generating previews. Cool. This is the image carousel itself. What are you thinking here, Ramon?
Let's have a look. Okay, we've got this placeholder because of how we need to, because this is still in development, so I think that's okay.
Mhm.
I guess it'll eventually turn into the props interface.
Yeah, I think this should be coming from that shipment page, and it
Yeah,
would pass in the data that's here. Um,
exactly.
yeah, I feel like this is fairly okay though. It's well named as a placeholder, so it's clear that this is temporary placeholder data, and this might be used in places that are other than the shipment page. I'm not sure saying being too specific here is helpful, right? We might
Yeah,
be, yeah.
I agree. I agree. So I think leaving it as is for now is fine.
Hmm.
The responsive part is clear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We've
Now I
got our
wonder though, should that be moved out because that's a constant, since that's in the function component, right? Every time we call this function component, it's going to create this object. Whereas we move it out to the kind of top level um, of the file, that's going to create one object, which then every function component references, right?
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. Let's add a component. Let's add a comment to move that out.
Cool.
Just want to flag that I am running out of time, I'm
Running out of
afraid.
time. Okay.
We keep like I gotta get better at this. I think we're gonna have to like maybe consider making these an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I mean, we just had so much fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna talk to the team and do it. Pull it. I think it's gonna be good.
I'm down. Especially get some guests
Thank you.
on here or something. We'll just have more to talk
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
totally. And I don't
Cool.
hear any objections from chat, so I think we're safe. So carousel
Okay.
items, carousel image. Yeah, this looks
Map function.
Liz is like,
Seems
do
fine.
it.
Yeah.
And V prevails is like 1.5 fun. Exactly. It's a 50% increase. I love it. Yeah. Carousel image. Yeah.
Sweet. The only thing I can see here, this is like a tiny, tiny nitpick, personal preference thing.
Yep.
The placeholder carousel objects key, we're referencing that 3 times, and we could create a temporary variable above the return.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that would be a bit shorter, but that's just my personal preference. I'm not even going to worry about that, honestly.
And I think if it's something that's going to be moving out eventually,
That's a
know,
great point. Yeah, like it's a placeholder. Let's not spend too much time on it because it'll change
yeah.
anyways. Cool. I assume the rest of this is just different settings. It looks like from the carousel module.
Mm-hmm.
It seems fine.
Yep. That looks fair. And then we got our carousel items, which we took a look at before.
Great.
I'd say
Yeah.
we've
The
got our
rest of this, these are the kind of template components that we want to create, but don't
yeah.
necessarily exist right now. So very helpful as kind of a guiding force there. And I'll probably follow up with Matthew to create issues so we can, if anyone wants to jump in and make one of these, it should
Yes.
be well documented. We put that in as a reminder. Um,
Brilliant.
make um, sweet.
I think with that, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to stop us for the day. I'm very sorry.
It's all good. I know we have a hard stop. We're 1 minute over, and honestly,
Oh,
I think we're done. Like it's
I
just
think
some yarn lock stuff. There's a few console logs, so I think we can wrap it up here. I'm going to
Sounds good.
finish my review. Yeah, we'll pick it up next week.
Sure thing. So quick heads up for everybody who's watching. I will be off on holiday next week, but that doesn't mean that Open Source Thursday stops. We'll be back. We will find somebody to tag in for me and be much better and more competent than me as Taylor.
You showed me a rebase today. That was really cool.
We did something new. Yeah, no, it's super fun. Thank you, Taylor, as always. Folks, if you want to contribute to Open Collective financially or open source, please find their Open Collective down there. Taylor, again, it's always a joy. And to everybody, have a good one. Take care.
Have a great Thursday, y'all.